Heard. Let's get it.
You good? Bring it close to you.
All right.
Because we want to hear you loud and clear.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you make the mellowness of your voice is making you go down an octave.
Yeah.
Yeah. You so mellow. I want to hit you with one of those. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel you, man. Hashtag 3701 ENT podcast, the best podcast in the country, man. This man needs no introduction, man. He is a husband, father, son, brother, friend, insurance broker. What is it? Europe is.
Yes, I work with Earp Enterprises, and that's an interesting thing. I want to touch on that too.
Founder of
GCL, Gulf Coast Leisure. Yep.
Okay.
The founding member of that.
Okay. Brian Keith Franklin. Like I say, he wear many hats. This guy, damn near a legend, man. I've been watching you.
Thank you.
I've been watching. I silently watch people. Is that creepy?
Nah. We know what. Sometimes we need to watch people with silence so that you can kind of get a better look. You say too much, and
right.
You don't really get to take it all in. So you
right.
get to really say, all right, I watched your development, and I wasn't inputting a bunch of words. I actually got to see it
right
as a spectator, see where you stand, see consistency or lack of, and then say something from there. So it's an honor.
I like this guy.
Heard. Thank you.
I like this guy already. That's what I do. I watch people from a distance. I'm like, okay, can I go forward with this person, or do I have to stay away from this person? But a person like you wear many hats.
Mm-hmm.
I seen you do a lot of events,
mm-hmm.
and I think I've been to one. I was trying to get you did one last night.
Yeah,
how did that go?
So it wasn't my event, but
okay.
A lot of times I source report. So if you're coming from the perspective of watching me, it may look like it's mine, but really it's just me showing up and supporting people do great things. And it was an event called Budget Bays, and it was about budgeting financial health, personal financial health in your family and yourself, and how to get your money and your plan to a point where you can have an impact.
Okay.
And have an actual plan, not struggling hand to mouth. So discipline.
Not living check to check like a lot of us do.
The funny thing is, one of my takeaways from it was that check to check isn't bad if your hands on the steering wheel.
Okay.
So like when we hear check to check, we thinking, oh, check to check, like, oh, I got no money, I'm gonna die if I don't get the next check. Everything's gonna fumble. I'm gonna fumble the whole thing. And then in that perspective, the way I took it, I'm not saying that's what she said, but the way I took it was, we actually budgeted off of using every dollar of every check.
Okay.
And if you get paid every 2 weeks, you're spending every single dollar for a purpose, right? So in that situation, you are moving check to check, because when you're done that first check, the money should be gone before the next check. Now, gone is relative, because gone doesn't mean, gone could be in the bad negative sense. I spent it on 5 guys or something. Go to 5 guys one time, spent $100. Oh man,
something like that. 200.
Yeah. I did it a week or two ago. I was shook. My heart was hurt. I didn't budget it.
$1 million. I
was like, yo, for a burger? Right. I used to work there too. That's the crazy part. I used to work there, and I was just like, I was trying to get discounts. It was ugly. And but she was just the short version was, the way she presented it was, hey, you're using every dollar of that check, and you're applying it to everything that needs to get done, setting a priority, and then none of it was like knock it out the park. Like, I'm not going to use, half my check to pay off a debt or whatever. No, I'm gonna pay my bills, pay my mortgage, rent, boom. And if I got $25 to put to a credit card bill,
just put it.
I'm gonna put $25, and we're just gonna be what it is.
Okay.
So
shout
that's
out
cool.
to Budget Babes, man.
Yeah. Oh, big shout out to that.
Budget Babes. But you did something. You had OMG Wicks hosting something.
Yeah. So on Thursday, one of my ventures is called Gulf Coast Leisure, GCL.
Right.
And
let's talk about it.
We've been hosting our events in Southwest Florida since 2011, 2012.
Okay.
Every month. Now we're on an every other month basis. And we had the honor to have OMG Wicks as a co-host. And I rarely co-host my events. I feel very strongly, this is my ego coming in real quick, but I feel strongly that I'm just him. I don't need nobody to co-host with
me. Listen, I'm gonna come in on that too, because like I said, remember I said I secretly watch you. This is my first time really seeing somebody co-host an event.
Yeah, I never do that, but we're in an era now where, for one, I preach collaboration. So in that way, I've never collaborated, and I was because that event in GCL is my partner Marco and I, his baby, as well as all the other team members, we all kind of hold our jobs so tightly that we don't let people in as well. So one of my jobs is as a host, so it's hard for me to let people in. I've let some people in over time. My girl Charlene Edwards was a co-host for a while. Marissa Gonzalez, she was a co-host for a little while, but I've kind of dabbled here and there. But Wicks, we go back, and I respect not only what he's doing now, because if he was hot now only, I probably wouldn't let him host, you know, our show. But he's also been doing things for over 10 years. So my respect level is going to go to somebody who has, because you could be hot now, and the next week you do something crazy, and then you make me look bad. My brand is jacked up. Right. But I look at Jill Wicks and I say, okay, you know what I'm saying? Wicks, I remember when we first started out, we've collabed slightly on different things. So I'm like, cool.
He put in the groundwork.
I can respect that. The resume's tight. The resume's tight. So, and he's not out here, you know, he's doing him. So I respect that. But yeah, we had him host the event, and man, it was phenomenal.
That's the event I wanted to go to. It was like poetry. That's what you do.
Yeah, so it's called the Art and Poetry It's called the Art and Poetry Networking event for that one. And we have it at the Sidney Byrne Davis Center. That's the art center downtown Fort Myers. And yeah, man, it was cool to be in a place where we had singers, rappers, guitarists, painters, photographers. At our shows, not at the last event, but most of our shows, you know, you might see a comedian. We had a magician come out there a couple of times. You know, the whole point of that platform is not to be an open mic. It's not the place where you go, let me try out something real quick. It's the place where, just like Wicks, you have a resume, a respectable resume, and even if you're newer, that's not to discourage new people, but to say, hey, you gotta put in work. Because when we're all said and done with that show, it's gonna be Southwest Florida's version of the Apollo. Like that's gonna be the Apollo. Like at some point in time, you're gonna be seeing people come from LA trying to get on the stage, and New York. Oh, we gotta go to boom.
That's the vision.
Oh, it's almost a fact. It's inevitable. It's inevitable at this point. So I mean, we pushing it. And Wicks he did a hell of a job, man. He told me he want to come back, so we're gonna see what the people say and make that happen.
So you come up with the name? How did y'all come up with the name?
So Gulf Coast Leisure, Art and Poetry, man. We kind of like old men, man. These names were like, it's obvious. It was we like old men because the Art and Poetry.
I'm old. You can't say.
No. You young, man. You young, man. You look
I'm young at heart.
Her.
Okay.
For the Art and Poetry Networking event, I mean, that event was designed to be self-explanatory, because when we started out in 2011, there was nothing like that going on. So we couldn't have a funny name or like something clever, because it was barren out here at that point. I think it was two events that I see as a predecessor to us would be Lyricist Lounge with Sean Casey. He owns Twin Cuts barbershops around the area, all of them. And then a young lady named Katrina Shanks. She had an event called like Lion's Den or something like that. So you had those events. That was the only predecessors, but then they stopped. And we were like, hey, we want to do a poetry event, but we also want to let singers and dancers and so forth. All right, the name has to be in what we're doing. Otherwise, everyone's going to ask us, what are we doing? I'm like, oh, we're doing an Art and Poetry networking event. What do you mean by networking? At that age, 21 years old, at the time I was, or 20 years old, my peers didn't know what networking was. Like, the only time they heard that word was Facebook. Like, oh, Facebook is social network. They didn't know what they were doing. So we created an environment where we were intentionally trying to get people to connect.
Okay, I like that. You from what, PA?
Yeah, I'm from Philly. I've been down here half my life, so a lot of times I tell people.
So you're not from PA then?
I'm not from PA.
From Florida.
I'm from Florida. You know what I mean? So it's weird, because the more I talk, it'll go either way. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? That's an up north thing. You know, so
I was a down south thing. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Like, know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no.
No.
I get what you're saying.
In Philly, they say, know what I mean? Know what I mean?
Right,
boom.
Right,
So it's a joint.
A joint.
Joint, yeah, that one joint. Yeah, that one joint.
Right.
Yeah, joint.
I get you.
Know what I mean? Yeah, so, but it's weird because I've been down here so much, and because of my family, my loved ones and my peers, that the Florida come out, and the Philly come out, but neither one of those groups really see me as like I be in Philly.
Back and forth.
Yeah, in Philly they'd be like, oh, you sound like you a Southern country bumpkin. What does that? What does that mean? I'm not from the country. It's the South. Not the country.
I get what you're saying.
Boom. But when I'm in certain parts of Florida, I'll talk, and instantly they go, where you from? I know you ain't from here. I'm like, I got no home then, I guess, at that point. But we make it work, though.
My man, hashtag 371ENT.
Yo.
B Franks.
What's happening?
He's in the building, man. What's your Instagram and your Facebook and all that stuff?
So I go by B Frank, as he said, B Frank. My government is Brian Franklin.
Yes,
so that's kind of a play on that. My essence is to be honest with people. So I go by B Frank. And that's why we do that. To be frank is my whole thing. I try to be honest, never to the point where I hurt people. You know, some people say I'm real, but they do it to be spiteful.
Right.
I try to be real, but in earnest with love. And I use my Be Frank on everything. So on Facebook and Instagram and all that, it's going to be Brian Keith Franklin or Be Frank. I have 2 pages on the IG, so you can go to Be Frank or Be Frank. It's actually Be Frank Solutions. That's the name of my LLC. My personal brand of Be Frank Solutions. And then on my personal page, which is also the one I'm on the most, I just say Yo, it's Franklin. Which is I was trying to get
Yo, it's Franklin.
Nah, you know what it is? And so it went like that. Like I'm calling somebody, yo, who is it? Yo, it's Franklin.
Yeah.
But what I was really trying to do was that I was trying to play off of Hey, it's Franklin.
Got you.
And I tried to find it, but I couldn't, so I had to switch out the Yo. But I was like, Hey, it's Franklin. Well, hey,
I like that. I like that cartoon. It's a cartoon, right?
Yeah, it was a cartoon. It was a kid cartoon. It was a whiny little turtle dude.
So Be Frank. Can I call you Be Frank?
Yeah, man, whatever you need.
Be Frank in the building. Do you eat healthy or unhealthy?
I eat unhealthy, brother. I eat unhealthy. Yeah, hot garbage, bro.
Hot garbage?
Hot garbage. My son, I gave my son my phone yesterday, and he was taking pictures. He's 5.
Yeah.
He was taking pictures of everything.
Yeah.
And my man took a picture of the back of my neck, and my heart broke.
Your back of your neck?
Yeah, he got my neck.
Oh, he got that.
He got the
lump
rope.
back there.
Yeah, and I was like,
Okay,
I was like,
I got
I was
those
like,
too.
boom, yeah. I'm not too excited about that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't eat well. I should, and the discussions that I've been having over the last 48 hours actually around that. The funny thing is, at the Budget Bays, I was speaking to the founder of Budget Bays' husband, and we were talking about eating clean, you know, and vegetables and fruits and no swine and all that type of stuff. And one of the takeaways I got from it, and it's so crazy. I don't want to keep talking about them, but it just is that impactful.
Hey,
It's where I'm at.
Acknowledge it. Let's listen.
We were speaking and listening at the same. We were having such a great conversation, he and I.
Right.
And I saw the connection between him and his wife, and that their processes for budgeting and his process for eating clean were the same because they were incremental, and there was no home runs. And the way he explained it to me, he doesn't, all he eats is fruit and veggies and so forth, and very little fish. He's not a vegetarian or nothing like that, because he still eats what he wants, but very small. And I asked him, well, how did you do that though? Like, real talk, coming from where we come from, how you do that? And he was like, oh, I did it within a span of 20 years. So I'm like, what do you, and so that kind of threw me off. Like, what does that mean? How take you 20?
Yeah.
How you do that? How it take you 20 years?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I decided at a young age that I'm not gonna eat pork at like teenage years. And then like maybe 5 or 6 years later, I took out beef. And then 5 or 6 years later, I took out boom. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Life is long enough that just taking out one thing and focusing on that and doing that well,
Right.
till it becomes natural, and then you don't think about it, and then moving on to the next thing is a much better way than going, yeah, I'm just gonna stop eating all meat.
You can't do it. I mean, I ain't gonna say you can't do it.
Most
Just
can't.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop eating all meat. It's not impossible. It's possible, but it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And dang, I bet that guy could run through a brick wall. He's probably healthy than.
No, he was looking good. A friend of mine, that's the first time we saw him. We was like, yo, man, you look good. What's happening, bro? You know what I'm saying? Pause. And then he was like, yo, this is what I do. Not for nothing. It works for me. And he wasn't putting himself in a place where it didn't feel like he was going all these rules. That was the part. I'm listening to the brother, and it didn't feel like he was restrained. Because most of the time when you hear diet or eating good, it seems like I have a bunch of crazy rules.
Right.
Because even when I said, oh, so you're a vegetarian? Because I don't know. I'm not in. No, he's like, no, don't call me that. I'm not a vegetarian. Because occasionally I'll still eat fish. And then we talked about eating things that have grown from the sun and stuff like that, things that the sun has touched. And he was like, yo, I'll still eat chips or crackers, but I eat very few of them, or I'll put them in a soup, or you know what I mean? And he was like, and it seemed like he was free.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when you could do something positive for yourself and it don't feel like a chore. Like you ever have somebody like washing dishes?
No.
No, you ever seen that? I've seen a couple crazy people like, yo, it's so therapeutic. I'm just like,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
So like, but if you can,
actually, I like washing dishes.
When you get into it, like maybe not initially, yeah, boom, right?
Yeah.
So like if you can make the things that are good for you like more therapeutic, that's a win.
That is a win.
So for me, like budgeting and eating well seems like a thing I gotta do. That sucks. But if I could change the mindset, and that's the thing about what the young lady was doing with her program.
Right.
Everything had the glamour to it or the style of it that made it feel like, you know, certain pains you can't take away from certain growth. Like certain pains you can't remove, but you can remove some of the psychological part. Like, yo, that's what I'm saying. It's like working out. Like, yo,
you can put your mind to it to do it. Like,
yeah, you can tell yourself it ain't a thing. Like it's like, all right, boom. But if I keep going, man, these dishes will suck.
That's real. Are you going on like a networking run or something?
Yeah. So my intention with this podcast and every platform, one is that I've understood before that everything that we need in Southwest Florida is already here. Right. So singers, dancers, big businesses, international, small business, everything is here. I don't got to go to Tampa or Miami. I can. I don't have to. And then I decided, you know, if all these platforms exist, I should try to touch base and build those relationships with all of them. Especially because my collective GCL, we started our own podcast, you know, and we've done like 4 or 5 episodes. I saw how much work it goes into these things if you want to do them right. You know, even with buying all the gear, it still took at least emotional work and mental, like I got to boom, boom, boom. And you can have fun. And I said, well, all right, well, I have peers and we could all get on. So I might as well go do a run and connect with everybody and then wait a couple of months, get my stuff in order. All those people who show love to me, I'm gonna go, yo, you wanna come slide?
Hey.
Boom, and then we can boom, boom, boom.
And you know what? That's how it's supposed to be done. That's because I seen you on is it Parlor Talk? Parlor Talk? I seen you on that. I listened to that. I was trying to go back to that episode, but I don't know if it's still up or not.
No,
I did see you on there. You know, did very good.
Thank you.
Like I don't like to talk about podcasts, but I love everybody's podcast. I talk and I'm very positive. And if they want to do a podcast, I tell them to do one. You know, it's good to do a podcast. You know, and I definitely will come bless your podcast or anybody's podcast.
Thank you. Because this is technically I'm inviting you right now. By the way, so
I'd be honored to do anybody's podcast, especially your podcast. But another thing I wanted to ask you, I know we on podcast, but something important. A wise man told me in life you always going to need a bail bondsman and insurance. Talk about insurance.
And so insurance is my jam, man. It's what I'm good at. It's a thing that I find as interesting as other people find sports and music, you know, and I love both of those things as well. With insurance, I've gotten the licenses that has given me a general knowledge of every type of insurance out there, right? I've specialized in a certain lane. I don't do property insurance. I can't cover your watch, your car, your house, and stuff like that. But I focus on the things that when it really comes down matters the most. So, you know, we're talking about disability insurance. If you can't work for 3 months, who paying your bills? Because you got hurt. Boom, boom, boom. How does that play out? If you're somebody that's going to be an entrepreneur and you're saying to yourself, hey, I want to leave my job, but the insurance is too good. What I'm gonna do out here? Okay, boom, I help with that. And then we get to the life insurance. The life insurance, if we can make life insurance not a flex, it don't even have to be a flex. I mean, that's the direction naturally that a lot of us agents want to go. Like, I'm cool because I got life insurance. Nipsey Hussle said we should have life insurance. Boom, boom. Nipsey Hussle had died with life insurance, but he didn't die with a trust. He didn't have a plan, so there's that. But no disrespect, but it's just what it is. But anyway, off that, as far as life insurance is concerned, if we can make life insurance as casual as, like I said, washing, like it's not a deal. Hey, you know how you got your driver's license when you turn 16? Okay, let's get your life insurance.
Right.
And make it just as a given, like a boom. This is what you do.
That is a given.
This is what you do. It's not a special thing. It's not for the rich. It's not for those people, dumb people, or us people. It's like, hey, we're all gonna get life insurance. It's the smartest thing to do. And if you're at a point in life where it'd be impossible, it's highly unlikely that it's impossible. But say if you are in that small group where you can't get it at all, at least make the next generation have that mentality of like, hey, I can't do this, but I swear if I could, I would.
Right.
And you have the kids go, yeah, I have life insurance. It's not even a flex. It's just
I understand.
Did you wash your behind this morning? That's normal. You know what I mean? Okay, I want life insurance to be in the same category as that.
That's normal.
Because if we all get life insurance, we can guarantee a few things.
Right.
One, we're talking about seed money for, sometimes 3 generations down in some situations. 2, you can put people in a situation where if I'm paying a premium for this thing, I'm going to teach my kids about money. It'd be foolish to go, I'm going to pay $20, $50, $100, $15, whatever you're paying a month, and then not tell your kids, okay, this is what you need to do. For example, my life insurance, I tell my wife, and we have this conversation because it's not really in our lane, but I said, hey, $1 million in your hand. What's the first thing you do? And she starts giving me the play with paying off debts and And I'm like, okay, cool. And I said, okay, so I died. How long did it take for you to mourn? You don't know that. But at the very least, how long? Do you think you can still go to work through that process? Oh, so you're going to be off of work for a while.
Right.
Okay, you're going to do this. And we start having real, play it out. Right. If anyone who listens to this don't want to talk about that, if anything, I literally just came from a wake this morning. My morning was that we were going to a celebration of life. At my show last week, we had a celebration of life. 2 different people. One was 26 at the show. She passed away with 3 children.
Young.
And the gentleman who passed away that we just had the celebration of life this morning, he was in his 80s. So boom, 2 different eras of life.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself how impactful it is to just have these conversations. Now for him, because of his health, he saw it coming. So he got right with God. He did, family, and I'm listening to the stories and I'm like, okay, cool. But us young people, we think we're gonna live forever. Not all of us are gonna make it to 80.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just to be at a place where you go, realistically, this is the plan. If this happened, then do this. And it's different for everybody. If I have, even if it's $20,000, hey, if I pass away, you got $20,000. You'll cremate me, do this, this, and this, boom. Take the rest of the money, pay this off, or do this, take a week off. Okay, that's a plan. But most of us in our families say stuff like, "Oh, bury me in the backyard." Like, yeah, what you gonna do? Oh, bury me in the backyard, or boom, boom. Man. Nobody got time for that.
Right. You're right about that.
Yeah, man. It's a foolish game to not plan. And I think that what's happening with that insurance stuff, or with anything like the budgeting, but this is all everything's overlap. What's happening is people are scared, and their scare turns into deflection. So fear turns into deflection. I'm afraid to talk about this.
So
I'm gonna make it seem bad. So some people do it like I'm gonna ignore it. Some people ignore it, and some people will be angry at it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I don't like to talk about too much death. It'd be like it's kind of like
Yeah, well, I mean, unless you're a rapper,
I know it's coming though.
Unless you're a rapper saying I'm going, some Tupac tip.
Right.
Most cultures look at death as a beautiful thing, and that's across the world, across time, and they have various beliefs and such.
Right.
So I believe in Jesus Christ. Not everybody does, but I believe in Jesus Christ. Who am I to be afraid of death? If you really are who you say you are, boom. Now I'm not saying that I'm not, but my goal is to get to the point where I'm comfortable. I know I'm at least comfortable talking about it. And I've seen death. I've seen people dying from various illnesses or gunshot wounds and stuff like that.
Right.
So my experiences made me more. It's just what it is, man.
Right.
But it's not the death part. It's the what happens when you're out of the picture. All of us have an impact on our world. The world will move on without you.
Right.
But your presence, most of us will have a presence that's felt strong enough that it's going to send ripples, right? So with life insurance, it's not the end all be all, because there's other things you have to do with trust and stuff like that. I love telling people, you can put did you know you can put a beneficiary on your bank accounts?
I did not know that.
Yo, that's such a did you
know that?
Yeah. So listen, when you're at the bank, right? Your money is locked up in there. So if you're married or you have a joint account, your spouse can obviously pull it out. Boom, right? You pass away, you got $100, you got $100,000, whatever. Okay, who is in charge of getting or able to get that money? Who's able to grab that?
Your spouse.
Okay, what if you're not married?
Oh wow, nobody.
What if they go with you?
Oh wow.
Boom. So what happens is with the beneficiary, you go to the bank, you say, hey, listen, this person is a beneficiary to my bank account. It is not, you sign some paperwork, you could do it in an hour, you know what I mean? And all you're really saying is, if I pass away, this person has access to the funds. It could be your last paycheck. It could be whatever it is. Something in your name came through, is in the account. Your kids or whomever should have the right to be able to access those funds to pay for whatever they need to pay for. It's free. It's a conversation.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you don't do that, anything that you don't take control of, somebody else will. It's never, it's never in limbo.
Right.
And the devil or those or whoever you want to call it, the system will see an opportunity of your lack of knowledge and make it their game, right? So one thing that happens is if you don't put things and create beneficiaries for everything you do, not just life insurance policies, then when you pass away, things go through something called probate. That's a fancy word for the bank, the judges and the court systems decide where money goes.
Right.
So if you know, oh, my oldest is real responsible and they can do and you don't set the system so that your oldest can have access to that, then they might have to chop it out with the courts. That could be 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, boom. And the crazy thing is with probate, the system would get jacked up by anyone saying that they have a right to the money, even if they don't. So brother, if I pass away, obviously my wife got the rights, but if you come in, you have no relation to me, you saying I got rights, and I don't put things in line set up for her, she'll still get the money, but now she got to fight with you.
Right.
But if I put it up and say, that's my beneficiary, that's mine right there.
Right.
And you
can't do nothing.
It's an uncontested shot. It's free throw. We in there.
Right.
So, boom. And that's all tied to the life insurance part. And there's so many other aspects of life insurance that are important.
It's important. Life insurance, like I said, the old wise man told me, life insurance and bail bond.
Be locked in. The funny thing is the lady who did it, I'm going back to it again, the lady who did the event, she does both of those things. I don't do bells bond. She does life insurance and bells bond. So
she one of the best too.
Shout out to Sherelle. I want you to say shout out. She
bummed me out.
Hey man, hey, she a winner in that. She a winner in that.
Shout out to Sherelle, man. Shout out to Brian Keith Franklin Jr., man.
Her.
Frank in the building, man. #371ENT podcast. Any shout you want to give out anymore?
Hey man, you know what? I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's working hard to push their business or thinking about starting that. Shout out to single mothers always. I was raised by a single mother. I just got love for everybody. I have no beef in the world, so my shout out is to anyone who needs to hear anything I have to say. If you're my peoples, shout out to you then.
There you go,
That's what
man.
it is.
There you go. GCL in the building, man. Y'all make sure y'all get to them events, man. Any events coming up?
All right, so we got this cool event. Listen, man, you got to come out. It's called Sancocho Sunday. Sancocho Sunday.
Sancocho Sunday.
So Sancocho Sunday.
Yeah,
all that. And it's on August 13, man. That's gonna be an event for the entire family. So you can have a good time on some brunch vibes, but you can bring grandma and your kids at the same time. Everybody's welcome. Okay. So will you have food? Yes, it's a buffet, by the way. All you can eat. Will you have drinks? We got the bar going. Boom. It's indoors. Okay. So we got the AC bumping. Okay. Because I don't like being hot.
Because I got 1,000 kids coming.
Boom. Bring the kids. Bring the chillins.
Okay.
And we are gonna have a great time. The vibe is just to have family-friendly brunch environment where they're running, doing whatever they're doing. You can have a couple drinks, not too many, because no drinking and driving. But it's in downtown Fort Myers. We're doing it at the Sidney Byrne Davis Art Center. Registration is up. Follow my page if you want the links for it. We want y'all there August 13th.
There you go.
Tell everybody. GCL, when we do it well.
Big.
We put so much effort into how our shows are ran. You're gonna feel comfortable. You're gonna tell that we care. You're not just there. You're not gonna see a bunch of psycho craziness. We just gonna be elite, like the show, like the podcast.
GCL, man. #371ENT podcast. Y'all make sure y'all go get them tickets from friend of foe, man, 239 Turk. My boy Brian Keith Franklin in the building, man. Get down to that event. Bring your grandma, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your niece, your nephew, whatever you want to bring. Hey, we out this morning. Yeah.